Welcome to the Crime Dive YouTube channel. Today we're diving deep into the life and legacy of Mia Bennett. You probably know her as Pettylevels. Her death last year, it was so sudden it left a lot of unanswered questions. And the internet has been, well, swirling with theories ever since.
Yeah, it's a story that really gets at, the whole idea of fame in our digital age. I mean, Mia, she was bold, confident, rapper, influencer, building a career on her own terms. But behind all that, behind that persona, was a young woman just dealing with the intense pressures of, well, life in the public eye.
So let's start maybe back at the beginning.
Right.
With her background. Born in Philadelphia in 2000. Mia's journey, it really began in a city known for its music scene.
Right? Oh, yeah, for sure.
She found her voice through rap, expressing herself, with this raw honesty that just resonated with fans.
And she was smart. She really understood the power of social media. I mean, think about it. Platforms like Instagram, they let her share her music, her style, her personality, completely unfiltered.
Direct connection with her fans, that was a huge part of her success.
Well, absolutely, yeah.
Her career officially launched in 2018, her debut single, and then bam, she just takes off, starts collaborating with some really major names in hip-hop.
Quickly, too.
Oh yeah, super fast. Like, she was featured on Fredo Bang's Track Freak, along with Lotto, which, I mean, that just boosted her visibility like crazy.
It was a big one, a really significant collaboration. You've got Fredo Bang, well established in the southern hip-hop scene, known for that, gritty street narrative style. And then Lotto, rising star, strong female voice, Mia joining them. Well, she was tapping into all these different audiences and just solidifying herself, her position as an artist to watch.
It seemed like she was on like this incredible upward trajectory. Music, modeling, a massive social media following. It was, living the dream. But as we've seen time and again with young celebrities, maintaining that public image while you're dealing with these personal struggles, it can be incredibly challenging.
It is. It's so important to remember that the entertainment industry, it's demanding, incredibly demanding, especially for young artists. There's this constant pressure to produce, to stay relevant, to keep feeding the content machine. That can take a toll on anyone's mental health, especially when you're young and still figuring yourself out.
And Mia, she was really open about those struggles. She talked about the pressure to be perfect, the isolation that can come with fame, the constant scrutiny from the media and just online commentators.
Oh, yeah.
Her lyrics, they often reflected these internal battles, revealing this vulnerability kind of underneath that confident exterior.
And that resonated. I mean, a lot of her fans, they saw a young woman, ambitious but relatable, someone going through the same stuff they were, just, on a much, much larger stage.
Then she makes this move, kind of out of left field for a lot of people. She decides to join Onlyfans.
Yeah.
It was controversial, to say the least. I mean, it sparked so much debate. Some praising her, for taking control of her own narrative. Others, well, they were criticizing the platform itself.
OnlyFans is, well, it's become this really complex space in modern entertainment. It gives creators a way to sort of bypass those traditional gatekeepers,
Yeah.
connect directly with their audience, often in a much more personal way. But it's also, associated with the adult entertainment industry, which comes with, well, its own set of stigmas. And it can open up creators to harassment and even exploitation.
Mia, she approached it as this, extension of her brand, I guess. A way to express herself creatively, connect with fans on her own terms.
Right.
It was an act of empowerment for her, and for some people, it challenged the whole idea of what it means to be a female artist.
Yeah.
Especially in such a male-dominated industry.
It's interesting to think about how that decision fits into the whole conversation about, female empowerment and how the dynamics of fame are changing. I mean, traditionally, female artists, they've been expected to conform to certain images, expectations. But Mia, she was pushing those boundaries, asserting her own right to express herself authentically, even if it made people uncomfortable.
And uncomfortable it made them. The backlash was intense. Critics questioned her motives. The media, well, they often sensationalized her choice.
We did.
Focusing on the controversy.
Right.
Rather than, the larger issues at play.
Right.
And then tragedy struck. July 19th, 2024. Mia was found deceased near Tampa International Airport, and to this day, the circumstances surrounding her death, they remain a mystery.
It was a shock to everyone. She was young, only 23, at the peak of her career. And the lack of answers, well, it fueled a lot of speculation, online theories, all of it. So let's look at what we know. What we know for sure. Official reports, Mia was found in a private area near the airport terminal. No signs of foul play. Initial examinations, they didn't show any physical trauma or any evidence of violence.
But witnesses, people who saw her that day, they paint a well, a bit of a conflicting picture. Some said she seemed unusually quiet, withdrawn, in the hours leading up to her death. Others said she seemed totally normal, just keeping to herself.
It is interesting. It's possible maybe something was bothering her, internally, I mean. But it's also possible that people were just, projecting their own perceptions onto her behavior after the fact, knowing what happened.
The police, at first, they treated it as non-suspicious.
Mm-hmm.
But the investigation is ongoing, and that leaves a lot of room for interpretation.
It does.
No definitive cause of death. Conflicting witness statements, it's fueled speculation about everything. Accidental overdose, foul play, you name it.
And the rumors online, they spread like wildfire. Some thought she was a victim of a crime, maybe connected to OnlyFans. Others, they were certain it was some tragic accident. But so far, none of these theories have been backed up by actual evidence.
And then there were those early reports incorrectly linking her death to a shooting in Philadelphia.
Oh, yeah.
That misinformation, it was quickly debunked, but it just added to the confusion. And it highlighted how fast these false narratives can take hold, especially in the digital age.
It's a good reminder of how social media can be, both, a powerful tool for communication, but also a breeding ground for misinformation. It can give people a voice, connect them, but it can also just distort the truth, create this whole whirlwind of speculation that just completely overshadows the facts.
Mia's family, throughout all of this, they've stayed strong, requested privacy, urged the public to, not speculate and to focus on celebrating her life, her legacy. It's heartbreaking for them, and it's totally understandable, that they would want to grieve in peace.
Of course.
They released a statement describing Mia as more than just a daughter, a sister. She was, a light in their lives, a force of creativity, and an inspiration to everyone who knew her. They talked about her dedication to her craft, her dream of leaving a mark on the world, and the immense pain of losing her so suddenly.
It's just awful.
Their words, they painted a picture of a young woman deeply loved. And despite the challenges of fame, she stayed connected to her roots, to her family. It reminds us that behind that public persona, behind the stage name, the Instagram filters, there was a real person with real relationships and a life that went way beyond the spotlight.
Absolutely. A tragic loss. And
Yeah.
it brings up these big questions about the pressures of fame, the fragility of mental health, and the responsibility we all have in supporting these young artists, navigating a world that can be, both exhilarating and incredibly demanding.
As the investigation continues, we're left, I think, grappling with those questions, trying to piece together the information we have, trying to make sense of a story that ended far, far too soon.
Yeah. And the reaction, her fans, it was immediate. Huge outpouring of grief. Social media, it was flooded. Tributes, memories, just disbelief.
It's obvious she touched so many people, especially young people. They saw her as this, role model, someone breaking barriers, forging her own path.
Yeah, her music, style, that unapologetic attitude, it just resonated with, a whole generation.
Yeah.
A generation that's more and more comfortable expressing themselves online, challenging norms, all of it.
And it wasn't just the music, the fashion, the surface stuff. She was really open about her struggles, insecurities, her mental health journey.
Right.
That honesty made her even more relatable, created this sense of connection that went way beyond, I think, the typical artist-fan dynamic.
It shows the power of being vulnerable. Sharing her own experiences, she created this space for others to feel seen, to feel heard, to know they weren't alone in those struggles.
Mia, she sort of embodied, I think, the duality of modern fame. On the one hand, you've got this bold, confident figure online, crafting her own narrative, building her brand on her own terms. But on the other, she was also just a young woman, dealing with the very real challenges of living, a life in the public eye.
It's a tough balancing act. Very few can pull it off gracefully. The pressure to be perfect all the time, social media scrutiny, the lines between personal and public blurred. It can be, overwhelming.
And the media, they often play a part in all that pressure.
Yeah.
Yes, some outlets, they covered Mia's death with sensitivity, respect. But others, they zeroed in on the sensational stuff, the speculation, the controversy.
It's a pattern. You see it all the time, especially with young celebrities. Clicks, views, they overshadow accuracy, compassion. And in this world, information spreads so fast online. Those sensationalized narratives, they take hold, they shape how the public sees things, and they can even sometimes hinder investigations.
It brings up some big questions about ethics in media coverage, the responsibility journalists have, especially with sensitive topics.
Definitely.
Mia's story, it also sheds light on, the bigger picture stuff, the systemic factors within the industry that can contribute to the struggles of young artists.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It can be so demanding, this industry. There's a constant focus on productivity, image, staying relevant. It's high pressure, little room for rest, reflection, or even just the kind of support young people need to deal with fame, with adulthood. It's a lot.
The expectation is to always be on, to engage with fans 24/7, to be putting out content constantly. It creates this culture of burnout, and that can be so damaging to mental health.
And for someone like Mia, already dealing with, personal struggles, public expectations, it's easy to see how those pressures could just become too much.
Yeah, it makes you think about responsibility. Were there missed opportunities to support Mia? Could people around her, people in the industry, have done more to see the signs, to offer help?
Tough questions. No easy answers. I mean, Mia was strong, independent. She made her own choices, including, OnlyFans. She saw it as empowering.
Right.
And we have to acknowledge that her agency, she wasn't like a passive victim of the industry. She was actively shaping her own story, challenging the norms, pushing boundaries.
Right.
But even the most independent people, they need support.
Yeah.
Especially with the complexities of fame, the pressures that come with it.
It's about finding that balance. Personal accountability, but also recognizing those systemic factors that can create, an environment where young artists are especially vulnerable.
It's about creating a culture within the industry that puts mental health first, that provides support, resources, that recognizes these young people. They aren't just commodities, they're human beings with their own challenges, their own needs.
Exactly. Mia's story, as tragic as it is, maybe it can be a catalyst for change. A chance to have those tough conversations about the pressures of fame, the need for better support, and the responsibility we all have to create a culture of, compassion and understanding in the industry and in society as a whole.
Her legacy, it's more than just the music, the social media, the headlines. It's a reminder that behind every public persona, there's a human being with their own story, their own struggles, their own triumphs. It's easy to get lost, in the speculation, the what ifs, the questions with no answers. But at the end of the day, what we're left with is this feeling, this sense of loss, and this need to understand what happened, what led to this.
And we may never have all the answers, but Mia's story, it teaches us a lot about fame, about mental health, about, just supporting each other. It really does.
One thing that always stood out to me about Mia was her authenticity. She was never afraid to be herself, even if it meant criticism or going against the grain.
Right. It's pretty rare these days, especially online where everything's so curated, so perfect. But Mia, she was raw. She was real. And that's what people connected with, I think.
She was vulnerable, talked about her struggles, her insecurities, and in a way she gave her fans permission to do the same, to embrace being imperfect, to know that it's okay, to not be okay.
And that's huge, especially for young people. I mean, think about it. They're constantly seeing these images of, impossible beauty, success, all of it. Mia showing her true self, the good and the bad, it was like this act of rebellion against all that.
Yeah. She was a reminder that, behind the filters, the perfect online personas, we're all human. We all have doubts, fears, weaknesses.
We do. And it's in those moments, those vulnerable moments, that we really connect with each other on a deeper level. I mean, when we let ourselves be seen, really seen, it creates space for empathy, for compassion.
Mia's story, it also shows, I think, the two sides of fame, the good and the bad. It can give you this platform, a voice, a chance to reach millions, but it can also isolate you, magnify your insecurities, turn everything up to 11, make it so much harder.
The constant scrutiny, the judgment, the expectation to always be on, it takes a toll. And when you're dealing with mental health challenges like Mia was, it's not hard to see how all that pressure could just become too much to bear.
Fame doesn't make you invincible. It doesn't erase your problems or protect you from pain. In some ways, it can make those things even worse.
It's true. And it makes it even more important to have good support systems for people in the public eye. The industry, the entertainment industry, it has to do better. Prioritize mental health, create a culture where it's okay to ask for help, to step back, take a break, when you need it.
It's not just about what individuals do, it's about changing the system itself. We have to recognize that the pressures of fame, they're real, they have consequences, and we all have a responsibility to create a more humane, supportive environment for people dealing with those pressures.
Mia's legacy, I think, is a call for that change. To be more compassionate, more understanding, more aware of how our words, our actions affect other people.
It's a reminder that behind the headlines, the social media, the personas, there are real people with real feelings, real struggles, real lives. Mia Bennett's life, it was cut tragically short. But her impact, it's going to continue. Her music, her message, they'll live on, inspiring us to be more authentic, more compassionate, more connected to each other.
And even in the darkest times, even in the face of tragedy, there's hope, there's love, and there's that enduring power of the human spirit to overcome, to leave the world better than we found it.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the life and legacy of Mia Bennett. If you or someone you know is struggling, please reach out for help. You're not alone.
And please subscribe to the Crime Dive YouTube channel for more deep dives like this one.